Hey there. Hey, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Years ago, I don't know how long ago, it might have been 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, and I think the location was in the Mediterranean, possibly Greece, or maybe one of the islands of Greece at the time. And there was a volcano that was active, and people, they built a city near the volcano, and people thought, supposedly experts or whatever said, hey, this volcano could blow and it's going to probably wipe out our city. And I think the locals who lived there said, well, they probably tried various things such as giving offerings to the volcano, like offerings such as gifts of food or whatever, I don't know, to try to, convince, you might say more or less what I get out of it. They did this. Maybe they felt there was a God or something like that they were trying to win the favor of, and this God would supposedly prevent the volcano from blowing up. Or maybe these people just did this stuff, gave gifts to the volcano in an effort to try to convince themselves that they were actually doing something sufficient enough so that the volcano wouldn't blow and kill them. Now, as you probably can see today, we know about the fact of what's happening with the U.S. dollar and what's going on with the fact the New World Order people are planning they're always modifying their plans, but they're planning their apparently overall the takeover. They're planning the takeover of the world, and I guess the best they feel they can with everything that they have to work with. Anyway, now you probably know people that you've told that, hey, you have investments, you got to get them into something that is not going to be ruined through U.S. dollar inflation of the U.S. dollar, or you should get some food storage, you should get some a water filter, some weapons to defend yourself, and other things, And some of them you probably have ran across, or a lot of them you've ran across, and they kind of like just choose to you might say avoid what you're saying. Some might just like they just hear you say it, and they just kind of like they don't come around anymore when you're talking about or anything like that. They just totally avoid the whole thing. Some of them will hear you and they'll just neglect action. Okay? The point I think I'm focusing on here is the word neglect. They choose to neglect the situation. They choose to not really take the actions that they can take to help ensure that they will not be screwed over. And the people, just like with the people years ago with the volcano, what I get out of it, they decide to neglect the actual fact of what was going on with the volcano being active. And to sum up the story, the result concerning the volcano was that it did explode, and it was too late for the people to. I think they did try to run away from where they were located, but the problem was the volcano was. They were down further from the volcano, and the volcano blew and lava poured down and just covered the whole village and killed everyone who was in it. And obviously, I don't think anyone survived that. And to this day, I think there were. How do I even know about this? Is that I think some people did some digging, and they found this civilization or this certain city that used to be there, and I heard the story. I was told the story. Now, this, like I said, relates to. It does relate, as you can see, to the people today, choosing to neglect because they themselves, because they choose to neglect and do nothing. If there's a food problem and they don't have food, they're going to have a problem. And those around them are probably going to have a problem because they didn't do anything. Same thing with the water filter. Same thing with defense through weapons. Same thing through their investments. Keeping the investments in the U.S. dollar. Not transferring them to a better, safe, you might say safer places. And they, because of the neglect of their actions, they too will probably lose if the stuff happens. The people years ago, I mean, it could have been like 5 or 10 years that this volcano was active, okay, before it blew. Let's put it this way, the people who were inspecting it probably warned the people 5 to 10 years prior that it was going to blow. After a couple of years or so, the people probably openly, I think someone was saying that they openly said or wrote or something like that, hey, this thing's not going to blow. It's been 2 years. And it ended up blowing, and they died. Today, the volcano of today hasn't blown, but it is in the process of leaking, such as inflation and other things. Now, if this volcano blows, you know what the results will be regarding the things I just said. Now, some people will say, history repeats itself. History repeats itself. Just like back then, what happened, it is happening again. The time is now. So there are some things that are not, history doesn't necessarily, because it's not repeated with the same, that happened back then with time. You see, it happened back then at a certain date. Sometime in the future, which is actually happening right now, we're having the volcano blow now. We're having it leak. We're going to have it blow. This will happen in the future. So right now we have present time. The volcano years ago in Greece or wherever blew in the past. And in the future, which is further ahead in time than now, it looks like the volcano is going to blow, the so-called volcano is going to blow once again. It's just different places, different names, different, you might say situations, but it repeats itself. History repeats itself. Both scenarios are the same to a great degree. All right, have a good one. Just wanted to fill you in on that. I thought it was interesting.